Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So last video I had mentioned about traumas that I'm going to talk about it today, and especially childhood trauma. So why is it important for me to go back to my childhood and recognize the trauma that I had when I was a child? But I was so sure that I had a perfect childhood. In my memories, I have all the happy moments in my childhood memories. And so memory can trick us. So we can choose what to remember and what not. So what is trauma? And this is what Dr. Gabor defines. Trauma is not what happened to us, that is traumatic. Trauma is what happened inside of us. So when that happened, when we're alone, we're suffering pain and sadness. We cannot process it and move it through. And so that is trauma. And when I look back at my childhood, I came from a kind of complicated family, yet it's very simple life on my daily living. I was living with my biological mom growing up. I also have a stepmom, and my mom is the second wife, and my dad never left his first. So I have 9 brother and sister altogether. My dad has 9 children, and I'm the youngest. So my dad was about 70 to 75% that absence from my life because he's so busy on both sides, and plus he had to work just to pay for the food and for the family. And so every time my dad came home and I would be extra good, or so he would like me more. I was just behaving really well, and I also doing something that most parents want, which is doing well in school, getting good marks and getting good grades. And so that would validate me, and so I would get more attention from my dad. And for that 25%, when my dad came home, and he was always so proud of me, and he talks about me in front of his friends, in front of his clients. I remember one time he came home and he noticing there was a little mole that was like developing right on my face, and he didn't like that. And so he told me, he said, next week I'm gonna have the doctor to take you to the doctor to remove that. So he did, and the next week he took me there, and he got the mole removed. And so all of this feeling, all of this extra attention receiving from my dad, it makes me feels really really good. And so with that, with my dad, he was an educator. He was a principal once, and he taught Chinese literature in a Chinese school during the Vietnam War. We were living in Vietnam, and so I would study my Chinese, and at the same time I was going to Vietnamese school, but I was studying private school for my Chinese because I want to live up to his level, because I want to be at his level someday, so I can be closer to him. I can be more effectively communicate with him. And so then I started to self-learning, starting to read a lot of books, starting to read a lot of Chinese books, practicing how to write perfect characters. So when I was a kid in kindergarten, in elementary, I always have a award. It's either writing or in any way, I always would receive an award. And so my dad would be very proud of that. And so that's how I bonded with my dad. And so every time when he think about his children, I just want him to make sure that he cannot leave me out. So So this is all was classified trauma under Gabor definition, and because it was that love deprived and it was emotional neglect. And so trauma might look different in every family, but the dynamic is the same. Needed to be attached to your parents, or needed to have that kind of love, that attention. So this is the same dynamic, but the trauma, it could happen, could show up in a different setting. It could be a different way. And I'm not upsetting with my parents. Like I cannot blame them. I cannot be angry with them, because they have done what they can do best to raise us. And my dad absolutely loved me, but he hurt me at the same time. So how does recognized traumas work for our deepest part inside of us? We can just addressing the issues right away. If we do recognize there is a trauma inside of us, we can address the issues right away, instead of waiting for months or years to get down to things that matters to us. So just think about it. If we need to clean ourselves physically every day, why not just cleaning our mind when it's just too much accumulations over the months or the years? And if you're looking back to your childhoods and how to evaluate childhood traumas, you can do a Google search. There are some questionnaires, it's called ACE. So ACE, it stands for Adverse Childhood Experience. And that will give you a 10 questionnaire. And so the higher the score on the questionnaires, the most likely that person will become an addict when they grow up. So the childhood experience, I have this here, but I'm not gonna read the questions. You can just look it up on the Google search, and it's available. You just have to type it in. So this ACE was designed in the diabetes clinic. This is back in 1998 in States. So they came up with this scoring system because they noticing most of the people who are obese or who have diabetes, and seems like they have the same dysfunctional dynamic in the family when they're growing up in the childhood. So therefore, they came up with this scoring system, and the higher the score, the higher the score gets, it will determine how most likely that person will become an addict in the adulthood. So Dr. Gabor said that although not everyone traumatized become addict, but everyone addict was traumatized. So he did a lot of addiction and traumatized. He did a lot of therapy in the north side of Vancouver for 12 years, and he has seen many cases, and that he was doing a lot of work, and this is part of his work. So there's so much more about this topic. If you want to find out more about Gabor's work, it's on YouTube, it's on TED Talk, it's on so many interviews. He wrote a few books, and it's free. He just wanted to make sure that everyone who's looking to heal that have access to this. And so personally, I love one of his book, the one that When the Body Says No, because the books said if you don't know how to say no, then your body will say it for you. So meanings, if you taking on, if you don't know how to say no. For example, many people will come and ask you help, will come and ask you to do a favor and all that stuff. You don't know how to say no, but you will try to help them your best, but then it was just too overwhelming for your body, for yourself, and so you never have the accurate the proper rest for yourself physically, and then you become ill. And so that is a general idea, but in the book they have many more examples, many more details to define that. So if you do interested, you can just go to those channels and take a look. And so today that was the trauma that I recognize it. And next time I'll be talking about addiction. And so I'm not too sure what's your definition of the word addictions, but Gabor gave a deep insight to define the word addiction. And so that's going to be my next video blog. And so I think I'm going to stop here. Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.